Bruh, you're gonna laugh at this, Doc. Bruh, you see what's happening with the world right now? Some really messed up stuff is happening in Russia.
Yeah, I'm not very sure on the ethics of the war. There's so many different ways to approach understanding situations with ethics.
Yeah, I know.
Doc, if this is late, it's his fault.
Bro. Okay, we're restarting.
Bruh,
What are we at?
a minute.
A minute.
Bruh.
Bruh, you see what's happening with the world right now? Some really messed up stuff is happening in Russia.
Yeah, I'm not very sure on the ethics of the war, but it's... I fucked up.
Okay, it's okay if we mess up. 125. Bruh, you see what's happening with the world right now? Some really messed up stuff is happening in Russia.
Yeah, I'm not very sure on the ethics of the war. There's so many different ways to approach understanding situations with ethics.
Yeah, I never really thought about it like that. What are some of the different views on morality and ethics?
Some of the common ones are cultural relativism, subjective relativism, and non-cognitivism.
Wow, that's a lot of different stuff. Do you mind explaining what each of these means?
Yeah, of course. Cultural relativism is basically deciding what's right or wrong based on the culture that you live in. Subjective relativism is believing with right or wrong because of your beliefs or views. And non-cognitivism is that moral claims aren't the kind of thing that can be true or false. They're subjective.
Wow, man. I didn't know that there were so many different viewpoints on ethics. Some of these have gotta have some problems, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. If you really dive deep into it, you can find lots of problems with each one of these moral viewpoints. One of the main problems with cultural relativism is that different cultures agree on different things, being right and wrong, which leads to disagreements and confusion on what is actually right and wrong. Subjective relativism's people believe that when two people disagree about a moral standpoint, they might not disagree morally but just have different preferences. For example, people disagree on killing is right or wrong, disagree if killing is right or wrong. One might say killing is wrong because they don't like killing, while one would say it isn't wrong because they simply do not dislike killing. This leads to people having conflicting viewpoints based simply off preferences. Usually moral principles are used in arguments, but non-cognitivism can't be used that way.
Wow, man. I never knew there could be so many different viewpoints, let alone this many different problems inside each of these viewpoints. This is crazy. And you know so much about this, man. Thank you.
Yeah, I know, bruh. I mean, those aren't even all viewpoints. There are even more. Some viewpoints, like utilitarianism and Kantianism, are just a few more to name.
Gee whiz.
Jeez,
Wonder if those viewpoints have problems just like the other ones we talked about.
Oh boy. They have tons of problems. Before we can talk about all the problems, we gotta talk about what it actually means to be all utilitarianist. Okay. They usually believe that the right actions are those that have the most good and the least amount of harm for the world. Usually utilitarianists believe that good things are pleasurable and bad things are painful. So the right actions would maximize the pressure and minimize the pain. Kantianism is distinguished from utilitarianism because of the rightness of the choice is not from consequences, but the natural or intent of the choice.
Wow, these theories are really different from the ones we just discussed. That's crazy, man. I wonder what kind of problems these ones have because they're so much different and on the surface seem a lot better than the ones we just talked about.
You'd be surprised by how many problems these theories have as well.
Really? What What kind of problems do they have? They seem perfect on the outside.
Don't get me started, okay? One problem with utilitarianism is trying to make the right decision in a difficult situation. One of the most famous problems is the trolley problem. 5 people are on one side of the track. One person is on the other side of the trolley is headed for 5 people. Do you flip the switch and kill one person or save 5?
Wow, that's really complex. What is the right decision here? I mean, you're killing somebody either way, but I guess if you had to choose to save 4 people's lives, that would do more good than harm. So I guess the right decision would be to pull the lever, even though you're committing murder.
Bruh, now you're finally starting to get it.
Dang, man, that seems like a giant hole. What's the problem with Kantianism?
One of the most famous examples of Kantianism is the murder at the door story. There was a murder at the door, and Kant has to lie to him to save his own life. This presents a dilemma because Kant's viewpoints say you could never lie, but it is to save a life. So, is it morally permissible? What do you think?
That's really difficult to think about. Kant has to force his lie because he is saving his own life, but his actions may not be morally permissible in his view because he's not allowed to lie. I wonder what he should do. Should he lie and save his life, or should he not lie and die?
Yeah, bro, you're really starting to understand it. Man, I'm really glad I could teach you about all this stuff. It's crazy. It's really crazy, and eggs, a lot to think about, don't it? Let me know other questions you may have.
Yeah, I got another question about. I heard this guy is called Freezer. How do you spell it?
Frizer.
This
You mean
guy called
Frizer, don't
Freezer?
you? You mean Frizer?
Yeah. Could you kind of tell me like what his viewpoints are and like kind of what his story is?
Yeah, man. I got you. I can totally explain that to you. So what he's kind of saying is that what something is that things nature and what it was made for. Our exams and both those are connected to each other. Basically, things are good when they do what they were made to do. Or for closure, something gets to it and the more perfect things are, like when you play football.
Wow, man. I learned so much that I can't believe there's so much out there about moral theories and reasoning.
Of course, dude. Anytime you got any questions, let me know. I'll be happy to talk to you.
Thanks, man. I'll see you later.
Bruh.